what are the best shoes that you should take travelling?
Something like the Walker.
They're the very, very first people to be like, hey, no, there's a difference here.
You just wouldn't make a woman's last.
One of the biggest problems is when they want to go to their daughter's wedding and they'll get some real damage from that.
For those diabetics where you really need to pay really close attention to your footwear, because if something does go wrong, if you do have that uncomfy pair of shoes, then it can cause you a lot of dramas.
You're going to get some back pain, you're going to get some knee pain, hairdressing, nursing, any profession like that, teachers will definitely benefit. Even as an office worker, you are recommended to get up every half an hour to an hour. It should be part of anyone's plan working in an office.
So if you don't have that right from the start, you can be doing yourself a lot of damage. Welcome to the Comfort Walk and Talk, where every step towards comfort is a step towards a healthier you.
We're your hosts,
Jeff,
Alana
And Ben.
together, let's transform our lives from the ground up.
Welcome back to another episode of the Comfort Walk and Talk. I'm your host, Ben. I'm here with Lani and Jeff.
Hello.
Hello.
So to this week's episode, we're going to be talking about what shoes you should have for which particular circumstance. So we quite often say in our marketing, things like that, we've got a shoe for just about any occasion, but let's dive into the specifics. What occasions should you be wearing what shoes from? So we have a few little circumstances that we want to cover here. So first things first, travel.
Travel's a good one. I love travel.
Oh, yeah.
Problem with travel is the amount of space in someone's suitcase, which can always be a bit of a problem. I try and take, depending on where you're going, you probably want a pair of flip-flops for like showers or something like that. I try and take a pair of like athletic shoes and then maybe a heel.
Yeah.
And then that's probably it. So that's probably the space that you sort of allotted, unless you have lots of baggage. You probably want something that's broken in and supportive. Broken in being key. Don't take a new pair of shoes.
Don't take a brand new pair. That's a good way to ruin the start of your holiday, at least, while you're breaking those ones in. And you want to choose something that's a bit versatile too, because if you're not taking many pairs of shoes, you want shoes that won't stand out like a sore thumb on a night out sort of thing, or you're able to do a lot of walking in them as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that I fly a lot, and it's something that's easy on and easy off in the plane is critical. And if that can dumb down with your walking or your general purpose shoe, that's a great thing.
Yeah, you definitely need to think airport shoe. Like even before that, through security, a lot of airports still make you take your shoes off.
Nothing pisses me off.
Undoing it, putting it back on, what a nightmare. So something that's easy on and off through security.
No one wants to be that guy on the aeroplane that's going to the toilet barefoot, because gross. Don't be that guy. That's disgusting.
Well, you've got to have your flight socks on. Don't forget about that. You need some compression socks, so you at least have the socks on when you come to the toilet.
I think lightweight's another thing too. Because you're right. I mean, you take a bag. It's amazing. When I travel, I start with the best intention of filling my bag up, and 3 pairs of trousers or 2 and whatever. It's amazing how quickly the weight adds up, with clothes. I mean, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, for sure. And then you see a lot of shoes that are foldable, so that's always handy if you've got a small bag. It's something that can collapse when you're traveling.
Yeah. And it's also funny on the thing is, how many times do you take stuff away with you? Like, I need this shoe for this fish, and you never use it.
Never.
I mean, you tend to just live in the same thing.
Yeah.
So remember that. I just think it's important to remember.
Think about your shoes and take out 1 or 2 pairs. I would say.
So, a good example is some of the stuff we do, but we've just developed a new shoe for men called Hipster, right? Which is a canvas slip-on shoe. I'm wearing it now, and it's basically one of those shoes that you can go for a walk, go out shopping, and it's a great airplane shoe, and it's so lightweight, and it's to me it's going to cover a lot of needs when you're traveling, and that's perfect.
Yeah, our shipment's arriving soon, and Jeff is very disappointed he can't take any more away with him.
No, I'd have full 4 colours, but I wouldn't take them all with me. But brilliant.
So just to summarise here, guys, what are the best shoes that you should take travelling?
I mean, if we're looking in our range, I think that something like the Walker from Vitasol is very handy, especially if you're doing a lot of steps. I know that you can really get your step count up when you're in a new city and it's all exciting. So it has a good arch support and it is stable and a good outsole. So something like that is a really good shoe to take. And the other one I would recommend is some sort of EVA flip-flop. Because you never know if you're going to need it for the shower or anything like that. And a nice supportive insole, EVA flip-flop is going to do really well.
Vitasol Vitality!
and I would think very carefully about taking shoes for going out, in quotes, because you hardly ever wear them. You can when you're going away, let's face it, you're going on holiday, you can go casual.
You can get away with it.
Yeah, you can go casual, beach bar, something like that. How fancy.
Fun. Love that. All right. So we'll go ahead and jump right into our second circumstance is walking.
Walking, yeah. I mean, you need something that is supportive and it has shock absorption, I think, is one of the main things that you would need in a walking shoe.
I agree. I think that walking, look, we've said it before, it's the most underrated exercise. It's obviously there's a lot of people, but walking by just going a little bit faster, making sure you get a good brisk pace up, it's significant because you can do a lot of it. You know, generally get out of breath, and you can do a really good workout and enjoy the scenery and enjoy life and meditate and all that. It's a great exercise. But, you know, definitely a lot of people make the mistake, and I used to too. You just wear whatever shoe you're wearing and go for a walk. You know, at the end of the day, you still need a really good shoe that does a little bit of, has a lot of cushioning and a lot of support.
So a good way to think about walking when you're younger is the more that you walk when you're young, the more you'll be able to walk when you're old.
Yeah.
So quite often you'll see, you know, these really just virile 70-year-olds and you're like, how on earth are they still able to move around like that? And the answer 9 times out of 10 is they walked a lot when they were younger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And those and most of the time in supportive shoes as well.
Yeah.
I mean, on the walking theme, it's a little bit not about the shoes, but it's interesting, you know, like I've started trying to get into jogging, you know, running again. I used to be a lot of running, 5Ks a day and all that, but, you know, I started getting into it. And the thing you do is when you start back into it, you get out of breath, you know, and then you sort of stop. And you
it's hard to get past that barrier,
and you don't get into it,
yeah.
and maybe you stop and then you don't come back to it. Walking, you never get past. You can actually go for a walk and do it. Everyone can do it. So you just you can never. It never discourages you.
And it can be more of a social activity.
Exactly.
You can walk with someone. You can walk and talk.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, take a friend, whereas running is quite a solo activity most
Exactly.
of the time. You're focusing on like, you know, breathing, you know. So, yeah,
Exactly.
no, I agree.
So we put a bias in a lot of our designs to something that you can just be active all day.
Yeah.
Whether you're on the feet all day or walking, we just put a bias into our designs that it's perfectly suited to that.
Yeah.
And from my experience, it doesn't necessarily have to be a closed-in shoe as well, because closed-in shoes hurt me. So, I mean, I've done that walk. I think I've spoken about it on the show before in my Vitality. So a nice supportive flip-flop that is, you know, got a bit of a rocker sole for a bit of propulsion.
Yep.
I walked in that and I had no problems. And
Exactly.
I loved it.
24 Ks, yeah?
24 Ks, yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily, depending on, you know, what you feel, as long as you're comfortable and you're getting, you know, a good amount of support, then that's what you should be walking.
Now you know, I don't know if you're aware, but this month here we're dropping the new slide on that same unit.
that's
So
right,
not
yeah.
the toe post, the slide. That's going to be a really great walking shoe because you can tighten it up.
Yeah.
It'll stay on the foot better,
Yeah.
a little bit than the toe post. So that's arriving this month called Vibe. It's an amazing product.
Well,
These
I
are
will be
Vibe.
doing another charity walk this year, and I will be doing it in the Vibes then.
Yeah.
There
and
you
I'll
go.
report back.
Yeah, fantastic.
So just off your specifics, I mean, just depending on how you're traveling, a lot of these would kind of, your walking shoe makes a lot of sense for your travel shoe as well. But what are some specific shoes that we sell that you should take, which if you want to up your walking, you should look at?
I mean, there's the Walker. It's called the Walker for that reason. Right? You know, I've always found that if you say what the product does to people, actually people understand what the product does. So we call it the Walker, right?
Yeah.
And it's our number one walking shoe by far. Literally, you put that shoe on and it helps you walk.
It does.
And
It propels you forward with that rocker sole.
It's an amazing technology. So that would be what I'd rate. Now, at the same time, we've built even the little hipster number that I mentioned before, the little men's casual. We're actually doing a female version as well in the canvas. We've built that on athletic outsoles. with our walking insole. So we've built that. You can go for a walk in that. It's a really good product, right? But so again, a lot of our products we build on the outsole that's really appropriate for walking.
And if you're talking sandals, I mean, something with a nice back strap and nice supportive front as well, something like the Explorer or the Discovery on that nice orthotic footbed from Vitasol can be really good for walking as well.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so nice active sandal.
Actually, it's interesting. When you say back strap, I mean, I know you know the answer, but why do people recommend, a back strap with some of our arch supports and all that rather than maybe a slide?
I mean, sometimes you have to, what is it called?
Claw
your toes to hold on, which that can cause a little bit of, pain down the track. So if you're not used to it, if wearing slides or flip-flops doesn't suit you, then definitely having a back strap to keep your foot in
just
there.
holds you in.
Yeah, it holds you in.
Like a shoe.
Yeah.
All right. Next cab off the rank is for your working shoe. So I want to leave this one quite broad as well. So for your people that are at a desk all day, or then maybe your hospo workers like I did back in the day that are on their feet all day.
Yeah.
Is there a difference? What shoe should I be wearing for work?
I mean, definitely if you're on your feet all day, you need to look at something with arch support because, as anyone who's been on their feet all day, you're going to get some back pain, you're going to get some knee pain, and you definitely need, hairdressing, nursing, any profession like that, teachers will definitely benefit from something from arch support. Even as an office worker, you are recommended to get up. Every half an hour to an hour. It should be part of anyone's plan working in an office. So having arch support there will also benefit you.
And really, it's amazing the trend. The trend over the last several years has been so it's great for workers because really the trend is sneakers, whether it be leather sneakers or even mesh sneakers. That type of shoe, which there's an abundance of product, extremely comfortable, meaning there's less dress shoes in the work environment. So we typically see a big percentage of people for work are just grabbing nice, maybe black if they need to wear black, but just nice, sneaker environments, which provide the best comfort experience, whether it be leather or mesh.
It's nice to know as well that if you are in a workplace where those dress shoes are still are needed for your job, that there are options out there that will be comfortable because as you say, if you are in one of those jobs, you're potentially a high flyer. There is a lot to be said about feel good, look good. What's the term? Feel good, look good.
It's funny. It's funny you say that though. Here's a thing out which I think is something that is strange. People that you see every day on their feet all the time are airline hostesses and all that, and they're still wearing dress shoes. I think that's a trend that should change. Yeah. They should go sneakers, 100%. I mean, and that's something that I think is one area that hasn't followed the trend because they're still wearing their, and they tell me very uncomfortable court shoes.
Yeah. I mean, there are, comfortable court shoes. If you are wearing court shoes or heels, I mean, a brand like Naturalizer, for example.
Extremely.
They focus on contour, some ball of foot padding, which is where you get a lot of pain when you're wearing heels. So definitely if you're going to wear that, there are really healthy options out there for you.
All right. So with our next category here, we're turning up the heat a little bit. So we've gone our walking shoes. What about your high intensity, your exercise shoes?
Yeah. I mean, running, there are definitely running shoes. I think it depends on the type of exercise you're doing. There are fit-for-purpose shoes.
Exactly.
So I would recommend getting something that fits the purpose that you're doing, potentially looking at an insole to go in them if it doesn't come with an arch support. I used to do a lot of CrossFit or HIIT training back in the day, and there were particular shoes that were more stable, which you needed for squatting and everything like that. That paired with an insole made my life so much more comfortable when I was doing that activity.
Yeah. So your insole would kind of be your first port of call there, would you say?
Yeah, I would say so. There are brands and companies that do a wonderful job with specific shoes, but making sure that you've got the comfort aspect with an insole is really important.
Yeah.
So just as like a general one, we have a shoe coming out with Vitasol. Is the Icarus, I believe it is, which is, Jeff, can you tell us a bit more about that shoe?
Yeah, look, I was gonna mention in that I think the difference between running and walking. So our heritage is in walking because I'm a big advocate that that's an
10,000 steps a day.
amazing opportunity for everyone to participate in exercise, pretty much. But we are moving into a more running environment, and one of the things that we see with all the athletic shoe companies, there's a lot of advanced technology built into the outsole. So one of the things with running shoes is that you want maximum cushioning, but you want maximum stability. It's a real balance, all right? So, the new shoe we're talking about, we've actually done that. We've built these really special cushioning foams into it, which gives you really amazing cushioning. At the same time, we've built a lot of specialist stability, carbon plate fibre plates and stuff like that into the shoe to provide stability. But going with that, it still goes to, you've got to combine that environment with a really great insole.
Yeah.
And one of the things we find with the running environment is that you typically would have a harder insole. So we put a much more shock absorbing cushioned insole on our walking shoe, but in running you have a harder insole. And the reason we talked about it in an earlier episode is because you're putting a lot more weight on your body when you're running than you are walking. There's a stat that says like 3 times the body weight. So that's why you need something a bit more supportive in the insole.
All right, so we turned up the heat. Let's go ahead and turn it right back down again. What about your shoes for if just chilling at home?
So when you're at home, you tend to wear maybe slippers or something like that. We have some really cool slippers at the Comfort Co. We have ones that are shaped like a flip-flop, but they've got that really nice like terry toweling material. We have ones that are slides, and we have your traditional full ones. And they've all got that wonderful arch support, really good outsole so that you can walk around on your hard tiles at home.
There's an interesting stat there with your plantar fasciitis. So we have a lot of our customers do get that, which is your heel pain. Of first thing in the morning, if you put your foot down on that hard surface, you can re-tear your plantar fascia. So if you don't have that arch support right from the start, you can be doing yourself a lot of damage. So that's why all of our slippers will come with that arch support in there as well, because it is just really important that first thing in the morning, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely. I actually, I got horribly confused when I went to Asia. Asia, it's different countries. So it was in Singapore, and they used to say, "Oh, I'm going to put the slippers on," and the slippers were our flip flops.
Yes, yeah.
So it's just a bit of side news there. They refer to our flip flops as slippers, but we basically have like the flip flops and the sandals and all that, but obviously also beautiful slippers with terry toweling lining or fur and as Alana says, rubber soles and all that. But it's all about that, avoiding hopping straight onto the hard surfaces.
Yeah.
I've got a fun fact for you. I'm just going to go a bit off piste here. Do you know why New Zealanders will call a flip-flop a jandal? Do you know why?
I used to know why. No.
I know. Because that is, the Japanese originally invented your toe post flip-flop sandal. So it's Japanese sandal.
Ah,
There
right.
you go,
There you go.
jandal. That's a fun one you can take home.
Oh, that's good. Now, what are the other names for flip flops? There's
Thongs.
who calls them thongs?
So Aussies call them thongs, and because your toe post looks like a G-string.
Exactly. So you've got to be careful when you refer
Classic
Aussie slang to the
Australians.
flip flop.
Just lower the brow just that little bit.
That's why we've trained ourselves to say flip-flops.
Yeah, I've had eyes raised when I've referred to them as thongs.
Yeah.
Show us your thongs.
Right.
Oh, wow, okay. Well, as funny we should make that transition. The next one we want to talk about is your beach days. We are from the Gold Coast here, so this is something we know quite well, but what should you be looking at spending the day at the beach or on the water?
Yeah, I mean, definitely something that is water resistant. You don't want, shoes like that are going to take in water and cause discomfort. So, a pair of EVA flip-flops or slides or something like that will always do you well in the beach environment.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. And look, I think there's probably, and I'm going to pull out a statistic that a bit of a guess, but probably in Australia there's probably something like 20 million flip-flops sold a year, and most of them are flat pieces of material.
Garbage.
Well, they're not. They look pretty and all that, but most of them are flat. At the end of the day, when you go out to the beach, you're on your feet a lot of time, and you typically wear the product on the sand because it's hot.
Yeah.
So our one recommendation is the look's great, open air, easy on, don't get affected by the salt water, but we always recommend get something with an arch support, and we have a great product that looks exactly like that product, so you can still be cool wearing but it's got a nice little arch profile built into it.
Yeah.
And probably something, if you're on a boat or something like that, you probably want something with a bit of grip.
Yeah.
You don't want to slip over. It's probably something to consider as well.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, so specifics, guys. What shoes should you be looking for if you're spending the day at the beach?
I would go with the Vitasol Venice for me. Yeah. So
All different colours. You can get animal prints, leopard, red, white, jade.
Yeah.
And in Australia, they're a cool $30.
Yeah, and in Australia, you can just leave your flip-flops at the beach while you go there. I mean, you come out and you see all the
line of,
the line of flip-flops. So you probably want something that's cost-effective as well. Not that it's going to be stolen.
You never know. Yeah.
The only thing with flip-flops is it's something that you should never leave any flip-flops in the sun.
No.
In the long run, baking in the sun, because you might come back and have a size 4 instead of a size 7.
It's the Vitasol Vitality that I love so much. That's heat expanded, isn't it?
Yeah.
So from the thing, if I did leave them in the sun to kind of roast there, could I come back to a bigger size shoe?
I don't know. I
think
so.
it would shrink.
I don't know how the science works.
Yeah.
I'll put it in the oven. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
Don't put your shoes in the oven.
I always get amazed with that though, that shoe where the mould is about a fraction of the size of the shoe.
Yeah.
Real fascinating.
Shoe manufacturing is quite. We should do an episode on shoe manufacturing.
Yeah,
I
we
think
need
it's
the
quite
video.
Fascinating. Yeah.
We actually have to do an episode in
it,
China. We'll take the team to China.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Our producer's hitting us with a big smile there. She just booked in a trip. How good's that?
Yeah.
All right. Well, last but not least is your special occasions, your balls, your graduations, your this, your that, the other, the fancy events.
Yeah.
What are we thinking there? Because I know that a lot of people, that's what they dread the most, is having to wear those, let's be real, really uncomfortable, your Milano blanks or whatever it is, and just absolutely hating their lives there. There are options. What are those options?
Not hating on any brands.
Milano's, you're doing great. Whatever.
You do recommend, not to go much higher than a couple of inches.
Yeah.
You want a little bit of height, but if you're getting up to 3-4 inch stilettos, they're never going to be supportive.
I don't know how you stay on them. I really don't know how you stand up on them.
I've never been.
This little bit there.
I know.
It takes some doing, yeah.
I think the trend has been moving away
Yeah.
from that, but there is still an occasion for it. But no, we definitely recommend no more than a couple of inches.
Actually, I saw an invention just on that where I remember it come to my mind where they built something that actually get into the bottom and it was for walking on the grass.
Yeah.
you put this plugs on the stiletto and then it...
Oh, yeah, like it flattens the stiletto, yeah.
I love that.
I don't know why that came to my head.
I've also seen a brand that has built a sneaker top on a stiletto bottom. Looks very funny, but it's supposed to be very comfortable because it holds your foot in.
Oh, okay.
But still, no, I
Right.
would topple over.
So it's a full
Stiletto sneaker.
the top or like the...
Stiletto
Yeah, it's a
sneaker.
full sneaker on a stiletto. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll show you
right.
after. Yeah.
You can't go running in it, I guess.
Well, you can try. Some people run in
you
stiletto.
can go running on anything if you're brave enough.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely want cushioning in the ball of your foot because as you go higher, you get more pressure in the ball of your foot. What else do we look for?
So with your events, a lot. This is one of those occasions where your style is important.
Yeah.
It's
Incredible.
Something that you're going to want to look good because you're dressing to the 9s. You're not dressing to the 8s or the 7s. So let's see what you're doing there. So do you have any brands you could recommend off the bat for that? Or?
Naturalizer is a great dress shoe.
Renowned brand, 100 years of heritage.
Yeah, and it's made for a woman's foot. First brand to be made for a woman's foot. It's a
What
great
does that
brand.
mean, Lani?
Typically shoes are made for a man's foot, so with a men's last, and men's feet are a little bit wider, a little bit different shape to women's. So what the brand Naturalizer did 100 years ago is they took molds of women's feet, and it was the first brand to make shoes specific for women's feet. So obviously, if you're going out special occasions, fit is a big requirement because you're wobbling around potentially in a high heel. So to have a shoe that truly fits you is great. It's really great.
Because that's really interesting. Because before Naturalizer came along, women would just wear men's shoes but smaller, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And they're the very, very first people to be like, hey, no, there's a difference here.
Yeah, I mean, you just wouldn't make a woman's last because you just have the men's last in the factory, which is the wooden piece that goes inside the shoe, which is shaped around when you're manufacturing. So yeah, they would just pull out the men's size 11 last, shape the women's shoe around it, and say that's a women's size 12.
Yeah, right.
Good job, you know.
Hell yeah, feminism.
Yeah, no, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely fit. You're looking for cushioning. You're looking for good materials as well because, as any woman knows, you can have thin straps and it causes blistering and everything at the top of the foot, no matter what's underfoot. So, yeah, definitely something that fits and is comfortable when you put it on. But not just women. What do men look for for special occasions? I mean, you'll wear shoes that you wore to our wedding.
Yes. Oh, whoop. Thank you. Yeah, no, so I really, really like these ones personally. I think they look great with the buckle and everything there as well, just something a bit different. But these ones have some cracking arch support in them. So given who I am as a person at my wedding, I was cutting shapes and busting moves all night, and I was still fine by the end of the night because I had that arch support, I had that cushioning where you need it, and what is it? Your ViMotion support, isn't it? With Vionic. So it came along great guns.
Yeah, I mean, you'd look for something that's a good width, I guess, for you. And
good width, yeah. I mean, it's got a. I mean, man, the first thing is fit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I come up where you used to go to a store and you could only buy medium fitting shoes, right? So it would always be tight at the front, always be a compromise. So for me, fit's the most important thing, and then obviously I personally, obviously, I still like the sneaker environment, but the sneaker environment that's sort of been merged into leather, leather uppers on top of it. I like that environment, so it's got a nice cushion,
sort of a casualised
cushioned
dress.
outsole. Yeah. I don't like the hard sort of heel and hard leather outsole.
Yeah, and I guess the society's moving to where you can wear more
exactly.
casualised
It's
dress.
totally acceptable, and that's a good thing for men and for women.
It is, yeah.
I think it's funny the woman. We did a campaign years ago where it was actually like promoted the insole because the woman after the going out would be carrying her shoes. And that's still a thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's shoes. So
Yeah.
I think that's the definition of comfort when they actually have to take their shoes off at the end of the night and just walk home and barefoot or not, and maybe they carry their flip flops in the bag or something, but
Shoes in one hand, kebab in the other.
Yeah.
Foldable flip-flops.
Foldable flip-flop, exactly.
For the night out,
Yeah. Now, so what's really great about at the dress shoes that we provide as well is I like the work that Anodyne does.
Okay.
So with you get a lot of your diabetic shoes, and for those diabetics where you really need to pay really close attention to your footwear, because if something does go wrong, if you do have that uncomfy pair of shoes, then it can cause you a lot of dramas.
Exactly.
So with Anodyne, they've created some diabetic shoes that you could still wear on your night out to these occasions. So for your men specifically as well, your leather. We're lucky as men, we've got it a lot easier, just chuck on a leather shoe, you're fine. So you have that. I believe they have some women's there as well.
They do.
If you are a diabetic and you do want to take it seriously, we've got a shoe for you as well.
Yeah.
It's funny you talk about that. It's a really good point to make just in general, is that a lot of diabetics, they have their shoe that fits them perfectly, doesn't cause any problems, right insole, and it's perfect because they don't want to get ulcerations and stuff like that in their foot. But I've heard time from some of the specialist, world-renowned doctors and people with diabetic feet that one of the biggest problems is when they want to go to their daughter's wedding.
Yeah.
So they'll dress in a beautiful dress shoe that doesn't fit them, and they'll get some real damage from that. It's just an interesting perspective because they're going to fit into something for that occasion.
Yeah, it's just things that you wouldn't really think about until you got there as well.
Yeah.
So it's another kind of example of that is your if you need a custom orthotic. If you all of a sudden you get your diagnosis, you need that custom orthotic for before that would mean sandals are out of the question. So your beach days that we were talking about before, you got to wear an enclosed pair of shoes. No one wants to do that when you're going to the beach. So we created Revere with the removable footbed for your sandals there too, which means that people with those foot conditions are able to wear sandals again.
Yeah. And to Jeff's point as well, we've had fitted lots of ladies over the years going to a special event, and they couldn't, go without a closed-in pair of sneakers, for example, with their custom orthotics. But they've bought, a nice dressy sandal from Revere. They put in their custom orthotics and had a really great night. So that's really heartening to be able to provide that.
We get a lot of people buying the brand because they just repeat it. They buy a new pair every year. And one of the key things is in that brand, to your point, because we enabled the insole to be removed, we created this really luxurious insole that was really just perfect density. So we maximised the shock absorption whilst providing a really nice outsole environment. So typically sandals just get built sandal upper on top of an outsole, that's it. And not a lot of attention to the softness of the actual footbed. And that's one of the things that people love about that. And then they can always go to the podiatrist and get an insole made for it if they want to.
Yeah. It's really, so we do really have a shoe for everyone, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to the comfort recipe, and we've talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
We provide shoes that have arch support, really good shock-absorbing outsoles, help me with the rest of the fit.
And then the outsole.
Yeah.
And cushioning, outsole,
Cushioning.
fit, and arch support.
Yeah.
Those are the 4 features.
Yeah.
And each of them are underpinned. Everything has arch support and everything has a degree of cushioning.
Yeah.
And the fit that we put into the shoes is very important. That's probably the number one thing across all of them is the shoe must fit.
Yes.
The shoe must fit you. Do not squeeze into something that's tight and going to cause you blisters when you travel, when you're running, etc., because it's not good.
Yeah.
Right? So the shoe must fit. And we're putting a lot of effort in terms of designing systems and all that. Our stores, which we've mentioned before, all have the Atrix scanner. The Atrix scanner is about providing a precise fit and also educating us in terms of manufacturing the shoes about areas that we can improve.
Yeah.
Right? Because we want to manufacture shoes that fit 80% of the population or more. Ultimately 100%, but that's a pretty tall order. But we want to manufacture shoes that fit a big part of the population really well.
Yeah, so at the Comfort Co, we have shoes for every occasion, as we have spoken about today.
Yeah, it's always a good place to start. If you can get into the store and get that foot scan, perfect. If you can't, there are size right things on the internet to make sure that you get that size absolutely perfect. If you don't get that size absolutely perfect, our return policy is unbelievable. One of the better ones out there, and we'll sort you out. So, thanks a lot, guys. We really kind of dug into what shoes for different occasions and hopefully give people a starting point. If you're still a bit lost, jump on the comfortco.com, .com.au, wherever you are, and and
do a chat.
Go and chat. Our support team will help you out there as well. So, good place to start. Comfort Co. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you next
everyone.
week.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Comfort Walk and Talk by the Comfort Co. If you like this episode and you got something out of it, we would love your support with a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Don't forget to subscribe on your favourite channels and never miss a step on your journey to comfort.
Please follow us for more insights and updates on the Comfort Co social media channels. Until the next episode, see you later.